afternoon. My name is Jim Atterholt. Welcome to Key Questions with key town staffers for the town of Fort Myers Beach. My name is Jim Atterholt. Again, I'm your vice mayor for the town of Fort Myers Beach. And the purpose of this program is to identify key subject matter experts with the town of Fort Myers Beach and ask them the most frequently asked questions that people are asking around the island to get you, the public, the best information we can. One of our strategies is to obviously post this information on all the town's social media platforms, but we also want to ask our friends in the media like Beach Talk Radio, the Observer, the News Press, the local TV stations to link to it, show it where they can, and get the word out through those options. But also we ask our friends on Facebook who are watching this to, if you like what you see and you think it's helpful to your friends and neighbors, please post it on your Facebook page so we can, again, spread this word out as best we can, because these are really difficult times and we want to get you the best and most relevant information we can. We've got a special guest with us today. His name is Jason Freeman, and he's our Public Works Director and for the town of Fort Myers Beach. And so, Jason, just tell us a little bit about, just give a thumbnail sketch of what does the Public Works Director do? Today we're going to focus a lot on debris removal, but just in a general sense, what does the Public Works Director do for the town of Fort Myers Beach?
Sure. So, unique to our island, our Public Works Department is separate from the Utilities Department. Typically, those are put together. So our Public Works Department operates mainly the roads and streets, the beaches. We do maritime as well as to operate our town mooring field. Hope you ever see that. And then just general facility and day-to-day maintenance of all of our different public facilities around town.
So obviously Hurricane Ian has changed your job description a little bit, and you've become kind of the liaison with a lot of the various agencies, state, federal, private contractors with respect to debris removal. So it's a huge issue for the town of Fort Myers Beach. Talk a little bit about what the town's role is. We heard a little bit this morning at the town council meeting, but go ahead and touch on it as well. What FEMA is doing, what the state's doing, what the county's doing, and what the town is doing as it respects to debris removal.
Sure. So luckily, we've had a lot of help from different agencies in our debris removal process. Initially, right after the storm, we mobilized our town debris contractors. We used, and then also debris monitoring company, which is who tracks all that information with the debris, where it's getting collected, what type of debris it is, and gets all that information, puts it together for us. So we mobilized a debris contractor, and then with the assistance from Lee County, as well as now we're working with the state and FDEM. We're working on FDEM, so that's Florida Department of Emergency Management. Okay. We have some state officials here helping us around the clock to help coordinate all the different tasks that we have ongoing, not only debris, but a lot of different initiatives around to get our island back to a little more normalcy every day. So we're working along with state contracts, with the county contracts, as well as with the town contracts to work on getting this debris removal process going. I think as of so far to date, we're looking at upwards of close to 750,000 cubic yards of debris that we've hauled from Fort Myers Beach alone, which is a pretty big number. If
Jason, you talk a lot about cubic yards of debris, and it's a massive number, and it's hard for people to get their head around it. They've seen the piles at Lovers Key and down at Bay Oaks, but in terms of where we are in the process, and I know it's difficult to calculate this, are we halfway through? Are we a quarter of the way through? Are we 3/4 of the way through? I know it's hard to put it. Just to give people a sense of.
Yeah, so typically the way the process works is we try and do that initial push, which is where you pick up everything, clear the roads, pick up everything on the sides of the roads within the right-of-ways as quickly as you can, and that's where you kind of heard that referring to that first push or the first. And then moving from there, you do your second, you do your third, you do your fourth. And that's where we have that online tracker actually on the town website that we've been working with the monitoring company with. If you go onto our town website under the debris page.
Let's start out with what's the town website?
Sure, it's fmbgov.com. Okay. www.fmbgov.com. Up at the top there's one of the sand dollars. It shows debris removal information. Feel free to click on that, and that will give a link to our Public Works email, which if you have any questions at all, just general Public Works questions, as well as with debris removal for the town's end, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. And that email is just publicworks@fmbgov.com. So just publicworks fmbgov.com. That's just our general information email that we've set up to try and respond as quickly as we can to some more of the, more generally related questions that we're receiving. But then also on that page, on that debris removal page, or information is a link to a portal, which is a visual portal that shows, as usually they update it about a day before, but that shows about an estimate of the cubic yards that we've picked up from debris on the island, as well as showing a map of which streets they're currently working on, what they worked on yesterday, and then what they previously worked on. So that's a good way that if you're not sure when the trucks have been out there, or when they're going to be coming back, that's kind of a good visual for people to kind of learn information on hey, it's just that they haven't reached my street yet, or they've worked on my street, and they might have missed something. That's a good information.
If you look at the map and you saw they were on my street yesterday or 3 days ago, how does that tell you about the next time they will be coming? How do you predict when they will be coming, or is it tough?
So it's a little tough. Our contractors are out there every day, 7 days a week, collecting debris from not only the right-of-ways, but we're also working with the state on their debris cleanup and their debris task force. We're working alongside with them to work on the private property debris removal and the commercial property debris removal. So there's a couple acronyms that get thrown out a lot, which we might help to clarify. So if you ever hear PPDR, that's that private property debris removal. That's the debris that is on an individual's private property, like on there where anything from the town right-of-ways itself, that's going to be picked up from our any public areas, public streets.
Just to take it step, I know this is rudimentary, but when you use the term right-of-way when you talk about the town, what do you mean by that?
So that's generally going to be the area that is publicly maintained. It's generally the street plus, depending, the town is a little unique on our right-of-ways, can vary, but it's generally the public areas within the island that the town will maintain the streets or the areas.
For example, like on a stereo, it's the space between the street and the sidewalk, right? It's that's the right of way. But on our side streets, when there's not a sidewalk always, it's really as close to the street as possible without getting in the street, right?
It is. It might extend a little bit more, typically with like light poles or utility poles and things like that. But basically, it's just area that makes it a little bit easier for just general maintenance operations and that sort of thing. So anything in the streets themselves, or if you push it up right next to the street, that debris is being counted as that right-of-way debris, and that's getting continuously picked up every single day.
Now, Jason, let's go back a little bit, because we've learned that there's a certain period of time that FEMA is going to pay for 100% of the costs, and we understand that ends tomorrow, and then it's going to be 90-10. In other words, 90% of the costs will be picked up by FEMA, then 10% will be picked up by the state of Florida. So, but it doesn't mean that this is going to stop. People's debris removal it's ongoing, and it will be ongoing for quite a while. So, should people be worried? I mean, or should they begin to think? Should there be a sense of urgency in terms of getting their debris up, or debris up front, or making a decision on whether to tear down their house, or how should they process it? Are they going to have time to make a more thorough decision? So
that's actually one of probably the most common questions that we receive on that Public Works email is just people asking how long do they have until the debris, or to get that debris out to the right of way, or to sign up on that hurricane debris or the debris cleanup website. We do want to just ask for patience. We know it's definitely a process. The contractors are out there every single day, picking up as much as they can. But it might take, a little bit of time for them to get to that individual street. But as long as you're either signing up on that debris cleanup website for your private property debris on your actual property itself.
We're going to get to that in a second. Yep.
Or you're getting that debris to the right of ways. They're going to continue to pick that up for the foreseeable future, even if we don't receive more guidance on that 100% cost.
But if you're on a side street and you get your debris into the right of way, you don't have to fill anything out of it. They're going to come by and pick it up automatically, correct?
Correct. Yeah, for the residential. Yep. So all of that area there, and that's where
they're likely to do that for the next at least another month, right?
I think and we're going to make sure to give a lot of notice out to the public for when it's starting to slow down a little bit. Obviously, the quicker that we can get that debris cleaned up, safety-wise and just sanitary-wise, the better. But we want to make sure we're reassuring everybody that we will continue to pick up the debris and just ask for your patience on it. It might not be this exact day, but we will be back. And if there's any big issues or anything, I mean, please feel free to reach out to us too, and we can make sure to address them.
It's really helpful. So we've got the dynamic where in a private home on in a residential neighborhood, as long as they get it out to the right of way, or again in front of their property, right by the street, not in the street, but right by the street, they're going to be fine. Now the mayor's been talking and urging people to apply for this website. Explain how that's different. When would someone have to apply for this website? What's the website, and explain what the need is to make application.
Yeah, so that's a good representation of our partnership with the state and with the FDEM, the Florida Department of Emergency Management. They have set up not only a hotline for debris that you can call, but also a website as well where you can sign up. So people have the option of either calling that number, which is 850-961-2002. They're answering the phone 7 days a week on there. If you want to get more information on, do I need to sign up for this website, or how do I sign up, or what information do I need to provide, or is this specific type of debris going to be picked up, and they're happy to answer any of those questions. And also there's a website that they set up. Looks like we have the hours for the hotline there are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So 12 hours those days. And on the weekends, they're also answering the phone Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that's a really good resource if you don't have the time to sit down on the computer real quick. If you just want to get a quick question, they're answering the phone 7 days a week. And then there's also the endebriscleanup.com website, which is the one that I think that everyone's been pushing a lot, which we're encouraging all property owners to sign up on. And that's where it's going to you'll need some information on your property, your insurance information, if you have it readily available. And that's the website we can go in, and that gives permission for the contractors to come help assist with debris that is on your actual property itself. So our contractors they're really careful to not go onto private property. They don't want to. But at the same time, we really encourage everyone to sign up on that website so that if you do have debris, if you still have large pieces towards your house, or if you want to work on getting everything ready for demolition, if that's your case, or you need some assistance with that, and you need some help getting everything pushed to the right of ways there, that's a really, really great resource that we're encouraging everybody, regardless of your situation, to sign up on that. Debris cleanup, endebriscleanup.com.
So all that great contact information, that's for folks who need help getting that debris picked up that's not,
Correct.
They can't get to the right of way.
Correct.
And so they should be applying for that.
Sure.
And then again, so if my home is there and it's a home that needs to be demolished, how does that piece of the puzzle work in the debris removal?
So again, reaching out to that resource is going to be the best. They'll help coordinate those efforts.
But somebody will one of these partners come in and demolish your home and take it away for you?
Depending on your situation, yeah, that's a possibility there. So luckily we've had a lot of help with the state and with FDEM on those processes there, but
that's dependent upon whether you have private insurance and just what you're.
It is. So they'll check in typically. When you're on that website or you're doing it over the phone, they're going to ask for some insurance information that they will help work through on that. But it's also, so they'll collect that information on your insurance from there, and then they'll help handle it. So it's a really great resource for even just removing some small debris up until what you're planning on doing if your house is no longer there or needs to be demoed. They're a really, really great resource to use.
Is that the same resource that if there's an automobile or a refrigerator in my canal, is that a different entity, or is that the same entity as well?
So there's a couple different agencies that are covering different areas there, and I know the county and the state and the town, we have a couple different contractors doing different things around here, just to make sure we kind of get everything done as quickly as possible. But they are going to be the best ones to give some guidance on that. So we're working with different agencies on the canal route, or debris within the canals and debris on private properties, which is that PPDR is the acronym for that, private property debris removal, as well as the CPDR, which is the commercial property debris removal. Very similar to private property debris removal, but just more for commercial businesses, shopping plazas, and that sort of thing. So we really encourage everybody to be reaching out to that debris hotline or going on to that endebriscleanup.com website, and see if you have any questions on that. They're happy to answer them and hopefully get everything cleaned up as quickly as possible there.
So Jason, we see these trucks out there. They're almost like something out of a Mad Max movie. They just have this apocalyptic, these black trucks with claws coming out. they're obviously picking up debris from the right of way,
Right.
or it's this new entity that's allowing you to go on your property and take stuff. And they seem to be taking it to places like Bay Oaks and Lovers Key. Why the necessity of that stop, that initial spot, versus just taking it away far outside of the county or wherever? What's the point of the Bay Oaks location, the Lovers Key location? How does that work?
Gotcha. So those are referred to as DDMSs. So those are disaster debris management sites. Those kind of allow the contractors to quickly remove debris and then assess it, organize it, account for everything. That gives us that temporary way, which really benefits to have that as close as possible, so we can keep moving as much debris as possible off of the roads and off our properties and keep it in that area, and then gets that ready for the final haul to the permanent area that we're coordinating there with the county.
What happens at Bay Oaks and Lovers Key? What do they do with these mountains of debris?
Sure. So the DDMS sites are used basically as a temporary staging site, and that just gives the contractors an easier way to take those. I mean, the larger trucks that you're seeing, the cranes are loading those up, lets them unload very quickly, and then return back out to go collect more debris from the right of ways, from the properties, and that really gives a close staging area so that we can make sure everything's accounted for, sorted, because there's the different types of debris.
But it sounds like a different truck in front of my neighborhood is going to be picking it up than actually, and once it takes it to Bay Oak, then a different type of truck, well, it'll be loaded into that truck to be hauled further away. Is that fair?
Right, yeah. So that's kind of like the Bay Oaks and the Lovers Key are like those intermediate stages where we're taking the debris, hauling it off as quick as we can, and that gives enough time for them to make sure everything's accounted, sorting depending on if it's, so there's a couple different debris categories. We have like the white goods, which is like the appliances. We have the C&D, which is a construction demolition debris, which is one of the largest that we're accounting for here.
Vegetation.
Yeah, vegetation. So that kind of allows them to make sure everything's accounted for, everything's documented, everything's sorted. And then that's when those trucks, there's also, in addition to the ones that are dropping off, they're picking up that debris and then moving it to more permanent disposal sites there, which is what the county and the state are helping us
So
with.
you hear a lot about it, these big debris locations, drop-off locations. You hear about them sifting for sand.
Sure.
How in the world do they do that? And then what happens to the sand once they sift it?
So to not get too technical, the sand was is one of the larger aspects that we had, especially just being a barrier island, especially from the roadways, from the streets, from people's properties. All of that's documented just like it is debris, where they're once the debris contractors are picking that up and collecting it, they're documenting where they got it from, how much they're getting. But to get that ready to go to put back onto the beaches and those public areas and wherever it's needed, we want to make sure it's clean and safe. So we want to go through the right environmental processes for it, which is to not get too specific on it, we basically want to make sure that the sand is clean and safe and ready to go to get back onto those beaches. So I remember first couple of weeks onto the island there, a lot of people probably saw it at Crescent Beach Park. There was those giant piles of sand, and that was with the county in coordination with everybody else working on initially doing that sand sifting. So they're just making sure that the sand is safe and accounted for.
Use the term sand sifting. Are there machines literally taking up the debris and then shaking the sand out of it?
It's a whole process there. So that's where they stage up the big equipment there, and they make sure to filter that sand out and make sure that it's ready to go back on that beach.
And then once the sand is shaken out or sifted out, then they make sure there's no toxic waste. So they make sure it's clean enough to put back on the beach.
Exactly.
And then do they do this sort at Bay Oaks and Lovers Key? Are they also sorting out like the aluminum, the cement? Are they sorting it for recycling purposes, or does that get done later on?
Depending on what it is, I believe so. Well, that's one of those big things with making it a little bit easier that residents can do as well, is when you're putting that debris out onto the right of ways or getting that collected out. There's a couple different debris categories that really, if residents in the community can try the best they can to separate that. I know it might not be easy at times, but to separate that.
Hold on. Sure. Let's do that. So if I want to be a really responsive homeowner and I want to have my debris out there in the right of way and the easiest way for it to be picked up, which probably will result in it being picked up quicker. Right. How do I want to arrange my debris in front of my house, assuming it's possible?
Right. So that's where with a couple of those acronyms where you want to try and separate. You can have it in the same area, but if you separate and by separate, just pile it closer together. The biggest one is the household garbage. Waste Management has resumed picking up the household garbage on the normal
That's our
schedule.
trash company.
That's the trash company, yeah. So the typical, just you bag up your household trash. It's food and it's all that sort of thing. Stuff that you don't probably want to have sit out there too long and out in the sun and everything. That's a big one to make sure that if you could try and move that to the side or keep it a little bit separate so it's easier for those trucks to come by and pick up. They're going around.
Sometimes you'll have a waste management bin, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and previously I know that it depended. And regardless of the bin, I think is from what we've been communicated. Even if you don't have a trash can at this time, as long as you try and separate that, the household trash, they'll pick that up on the normal schedule. So that's one that we want to make sure is getting picked up pretty quickly, but also it's getting put out in a timely manner the day before the normal trash pickup, which for the island is Thursday mornings. So if you have that separated, that kind of gives a little bit easier for the waste management and the trash to come by and pick that up. So we want to make sure that gets picked up.
That's a great point. So the entire town now has regular trash pickup again.
Sure, it does.
And the trash picked up in Fort Myers Beach is on Thursday mornings?
Thursday mornings, correct.
So in a perfect world, you'd like people to put their regular waste management trash out Wednesday night?
Wednesday night into Thursday morning, I think is typically going to be the best. That way, it's not sitting. Yeah, it's not sitting out too long, and especially with the heat that we still have out here, it's kind of helps keep everything safety-wise too. So the town works with Waste Management and the county on an interlocal agreement to take care of that household trash for everybody. So that's one of the ones that we want to make sure is separated as best as possible to just keep it away from all the other debris, so we can make sure we get that picked up and it's not sitting out for the next week.
Perfect.
So going on top of that, there's a couple other categories. One is the C and D, which is that commercial and demolition debris. That's a lot of the main debris that you're seeing from structures and just all sorts of things like that. Drywall,
cement block.
Exactly, all of that. If we can try and pile that in one area, that's one category that gets sorted out, and the trucks are going to be looking for that because sometimes the contractors might have a truck dedicated to just picking up one category of debris.
Okay.
So that'll make it a little bit easier
sorted,
for them.
things go faster.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's also, I know, a couple other categories, including the hazardous waste. So that might be some paint cans, anything that we typically had before we would do our local hazardous waste pickups here at Bay Oaks. We want to try to keep that separated just for safety wise, but also we want to make sure that's getting accounted for, not just included in that giant pile and mix in everything else that might potentially contaminate other things. Then we have what's called the white goods, which is a lot of the appliances. Different trucks might be coming up to pick up that at different times. So really just try to separate that the best you can will more than likely help facilitate this process as quickly as possible with that.
Jason, and you've got wearing the public works director hat, and obviously you do a lot of different things, but in terms of the streets themselves, obviously it's a messy time because people are having debris out there that's being picked up, which is a messy process, but is the town eventually going to try to get out there and sweep those streets? The sidewalk on Estero Boulevard in particular, I know it's such a challenge because there's so much debris, but to be able to utilize those sidewalks again, we've had the beautiful new Estero Boulevard, and the road is still looking great again.
Great.
But if we could get some of that sand and debris off the sidewalks, is that just a process? It'll just take time?
It is, yeah. I did want to mention, I thought of one more category here off the top of my head, just the electronics on there. That's like TVs and that sort of thing. So just separating that as well. But we actually are street sweeping. We had two sweepers. We're operating one of them right now. I believe the other one was damaged from Ian, but we're actually out there today street sweeping as quickly as we can. So
does that include Estero, or is it just the side streets?
So Estero Boulevard is a county road, so we coordinate with the county on that one.
Who's in charge of the sidewalks on Estero? Is that
would be the county as well? But yeah, we're in communication with them and coordinating with them, and using a lot of the same contractors and everything. So that's it's just kind of a coordination effort between the agencies here. But yeah, we have our street sweeper out there trying to clear as many roads every day as possible, and just kind of especially once those debris trucks come, we want to make sure we're getting all the nails and everything out of the roads the best we can, and then just coordinating with Lee County as well to make sure that the Star Boulevard is getting taken care of as well.
You're a local guy, Jason. Is that right? Tell us a little bit about your history here in Fort Myers Beach.
So proud to say that I was born and raised here on the island. So I went to Fort Myers Beach Elementary School, and
you have your handprint in the cement.
I do. Very good. So it's this island really means a lot to me. So I'm very grateful to be a part of this recovery effort. It's definitely unimaginable what our community's been through these past couple months, but it's very excited to see the progress, and it truly means a lot to me here. So it's exciting to see what we've done so far, and I can't wait to see what we're going to accomplish now. But
Jason, how did somebody go from the elementary school here to being the public works director? What kind
Sure.
of training did you have, and what are you still doing to prepare yourself for the role?
Sure. So I originally started with the town back in 2018, working with the previous director, Chelsea O'Reilly. I helped her with doing some administrative work for her part time. Eventually, that flowed into working full time with her on various projects and public works workings. And then about 2 years ago, when our previous town clerk, Michelle Mayer, she retired, and Amy Baker was promoted there into the town clerk position, I transitioned over into taking Amy's previous position of contracts manager and deputy clerk. So kind of got to learn about the procurement processes and public budgeting and funding and also a lot of the public meetings and the public service aspect of everything. I actually just recently received my designation to be a certified municipal clerk. So got to earn that while I was in that position. And then when Chelsea went to Gateway to serve as their district manager, I stepped into the public works position to oversee the department.
But
So
in the middle of all this hurricane management, you're also working on your master's degree. Is that
I
true?
am. So I'm finishing up now my master's degree in public administration. So this semester has been especially busy for me. So, but yeah, grateful to be a part of everything, and I'm grateful for the learning experience. And we've learned a lot. I think the past couple weeks and couple months, and excited to see where we go from there.
We're thankful for your service. We
Sure.
love the fact that you've got some heritage here on the island. Again, before we wrap up, anything that you want to convey to the public in terms of the questions you're getting,
Sure.
your staff's getting, any sort of common question you just want to convey to the public here while we have this wonderful forum?
Yeah, so like I said, one of the best ways to get in reach with us, I know phones are a little bit difficult at times still, but that Public Works general email is going to be a great one for anything Public Works related. I do want to remind everybody that we do have a great utilities department that is led by Christy Corey, and she'll be able to help answer more specifics on water breaks.
She's our next guest.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, and information on getting your water and all that. We're happy to refer that information that we get from there. But
Oh, I see. You're trying to help people
sometimes
differentiate.
sometimes we're getting
Very
some
good.
information there on some water. So, but we work together all the time to
If you have a
coordinate
question,
efforts.
aside from the debris removal, you've
Sure.
got a question on your streets,
Sure.
sidewalks, what other basic
Facilities, all of that, we're happy to help. If we don't know the answer, we'll help you try and direct you in the right place. So definitely want to encourage everybody to reach out the best they can. We'll respond back to you as quickly as we can. We just ask for some patience on getting there. We do have a smaller team, but a strong team. So I'm very proud of where we've been with everything so far. We're working across the island on restoring our town facilities. We're cleaning up Old San Carlos, all that area, Bayside Park. Times Square, working on cleaning up our beach accesses to get those prepared for when the time is right for those. And just kind of all over the island right now, streets, roads, getting our mooring field back up and running slow, and a bunch of different projects right now, but it's exciting to see where we're at. And like I said, glad to be part of the team here and see where the town can go from here. And I do want to reiterate too, call in if you have any questions with the debris. Feel free to call that debris hotline number. It's at 850-961-2002, as well as at endebriscleanup.com. Those are going to be great resources for everybody. Even if you're not sure if you qualify or if you need assistance, feel free to reach out to them, and they're happy to help you just figure that out. So other than that, I think it's
Thank you for being with us today, Jason.
Sure.
Thanks for everybody for watching. If you like the content today, please share it with your friends and neighbors. And thanks again for another excellent episode of Key Questions with Key Town Staffers. Thanks for being with us,
thank you.
and appreciate your time.
Sure.